Hello. My name is Jess Marie. Welcome to yesterday's Coffee Grounds. Today I am going to talk about something a little bit controversial. I just want to say to preface this, I am not an expert. We're going to be talking about diet and different foods. I am somebody who is learning on a daily basis about foods, how to take care of my family, how to have nutrient dense food that we can make at home, that we can use scraps of foods that we use on a daily basis. And I am learning, and especially food saving is I love that stuff. Food saving, seed saving, which is more in the springtime, that kind of stuff I love. I'm learning about. I am not an expert. I don't want anyone to jump on anybody's diet in a way that is aggressive or attacking. I am guilty of this, of judging people for eating certain foods, especially my family, and it comes from a point of caring where I've told my family, hey, I cannot eat that loaf because you put a half a cup of grapeseed oil in it, and I cannot eat that. But it just makes it so moist. It makes the loaf so moist. I don't care. That is a highly... Why are you making grapeseed oil? You know how small the seeds are? You know how many seeds you need to press out? And I explain the process of heating up these seed oils, and then they cool down, and then refiring them, heating them back up, and they go through this extreme morphing of their shape to get to where they need to be an oil, and how many seeds, blah blah blah, whatever. I guess I appreciate the fact that they're using like grape seeds, I assume from wine and other grape products, I don't know, grape jelly, that they're reusing this. But at the same time, there is science and evidence out that it is unfamiliar to our body. So when it gets consumed into the body, as well as other things like trans fat and other cottonseed oil, who the fuck, why? I don't understand why. That is not a food. That is not a food. But anyways, it's in stuff, palm kernel oil, whatever. So it goes into the body. The body is like, hey, I'm registering, oh, yep, carbohydrate, yep, okay, protein, it's this kind of amino acid, let's break it down the best way. Whoa. Who are you? And it sees this type of unsaturated fat. I think that's what plant-based oils are. This unsaturated fat that is not familiar. And it's like, well, okay, we gotta let you through, but we're gonna keep an eye on you. And basically the body attacks it because it doesn't know what it is. That's what inflammation is. So we as a collective, we don't know what it's like to not be inflamed. Majority of us have inflammation problems. If your body is constantly inflamed, your body is constantly in stress, your body is constantly elevated in temperature, in all these hormones that affect how we interact in the world. And it also affects our bowels, obviously. If you're going through some kind of insane process in the gut, it's gonna affect the bowels. So it's this whole chain event that I'm very much simplifying, but it's this whole chain of effect that we're consuming this stuff on a daily basis. And I say we as a collective, obviously not every single person is. Sometimes if you're like myself, who is trying really hard to transition into a certain kind of diet, it doesn't just happen overnight. So I want you to be kind and gracious of yourself, that it is hard to transition. Okay, I feel like I'm buying a good loaf of bread. It's got flax seeds on it, and it's artisan bread, and it's good. Then you look at the ingredients and it's like, oh, it's vegetable oil in here. What is, or canola oil? What is in vegetable oil or canola oil? Well, it's basically industrial sludge. That is not my line, by the way, but it's stuff that shouldn't really be in an oil. It is not something that we have evolved to use in our diets. Some animal fats, 100%. I am all for. I was against butter for so long because I believed in the ideology that butter is bad for you, and it's not necessarily the case. Maybe the processing fact of it, and that's where my biggest fear and concern of food is processing of food. And I am very mindful. I worked pretty hard for quite some time of making our own snacks, and essentially I just got burnt out. I could live on a diet of whatever, X, Y, and Z on my own, but because I have a small human, and anybody who has a kid under the age of 5 who lives in this society, so it wouldn't be a problem if we were in like a more rural area where farm town. It's a little bit different because we're not at the grocery store where it's a purple package with a bear on it and it's a cute bear, or a bunny on it, or a red box with colorful little circles. You know, for kids, it's just eye candy. It's food casino. That dopamine goes off with the colors. And I try really hard not to allow my son to eat these things. And then he goes over to somebody's house, somebody's watching him, and I try to be graceful, but I get really angry when people feed my child stuff that will cause him inflammation, that will cause him to be sick. And it's really frustrating, and I try to choose my battles where I can. And I know, I get it, it's a fucking marshmallow. I get it. But when you gave him ice cream, when you gave him other packaged foods throughout the day, of course I'm gonna be upset about the marshmallow. I know it's one marshmallow, but you think of all the things that other people have fed him throughout the day. I get very defensive and very protective of my son's body because he does not understand or have the choice. And for so long, he was so good about eating his vegetables, having his daily smoothie. Now, because he's been exposed post Halloween, of course we let him have a fucking Kit Kat bar. Like, it's fine. It's okay, one Kit Kat bar. I know what's in that shit. I get it. I know. It's just unfortunately where we're at in society today. It's fine. It's the worst when people like dangle it. Oh, can I give him this? And it's like, well, fuck, you showed him. I guess you can give it to him. And then I'm trying not to guilt people either. Like, oh no, we try hard not to eat stuff that's going to inflame or damage the cilia in our gut so we can have no inflammation. We can properly absorb all our foods. People don't like that answer. People get really upset when I answer like that because I'm that kind of aggressive. I'm very aggressive like that, and I've had a lot of arguments with family because I care about my family. I love my family, but I come out in a way that is so aggressive. And it's partly because I am not where I am at with my diet and what I'm consuming on a daily basis, because I cannot have sweets and sugars in the house because I am a consumer base. I love eating that stuff, and that's just a thing. It's a dopamine track that I have over and over and over reinforced. So of course when I see something, we'll take the Kit Kat bar, it's like, oh, I know I shouldn't, but I'm just gonna have one. And it's like, oh, so I eat the whole thing, right? I made shortbread cookies because it's Christmas. Earl Grey shortbread cookies, so good. And if you know anything about shortbread cookies, it's basically sugar and butter, right? And flour. So it's like, oh, I need to give these away. And I just ate way too many. Whatever. So it's just part of it where I want to buy grass-fed butter. I cannot afford $8 for a small thing of butter right now. It is something we need to be really kind and graceful. I had somebody comment on my video the other day about you need to stop eating all plant products. I have done that before and I got extremely low on life. I don't like just eating meat. And there's this one guy, I think his name is Paul. He's very pro eat organs, eat meats, eat a lot of it as the bulk of your diet, include fruits and milk and blah blah blah. He's like anti-vegetable. He's done his research. I was huge on the vegan plant-based diet. That was my diet for a long time, is plant-based. And more so out of the fact of processed foods. The way that we industrialize meat nowadays, I have a really hard time with, and my body has a really hard time with, because I believe in the energy of the food. So if you eat an animal that has had a poor life, who has been in a cage, who has barely stepped on the grass, you're eating the energy of that food. If you're eating an animal who just witnessed 5 other animals get slaughtered right beside them, you are now eating that fear, right? That's why I went plant-based, not because I any other reason people become vegan or whatever. It was more so that energy transfer I had a really hard time with. And pre-COVID, I had such a hard time going to the grocery store because I would see what I would call dead food. Apples that had been shipped from fucking wherever. And how many people who are sad, who are not making enough money, have touched that apple before getting into the store, right? You think of the person who grew it, the person who picked it, the person who put it on the truck, the person who delivered it, the person who unloaded it, and the person who put it on the shelf, now me. Think of how many people are touching that and transferring energy. You cannot believe in energy transfer all you want. It is a fucking real thing. You know, when somebody walks in a room and they can change the energy, positive or negatively, you feel that. It's the same thing with food. It's all energy. So that's why I went plant-based, and now I'm understanding the importance. My body started craving meat a lot more. Probably after I stopped breastfeeding, I really felt that craving towards increasing meat in my diet, funny enough. So diet is just one of those weird things I'm trying to be more sensitive about, because people cannot afford it. I remember giving my buddies shit, and they're like, oh, we got a pound of carrots and a flat of noodles and a flat of beer. And it's like, that's what they can afford. And you know what? When you're 19 years old, yeah, you're gonna get a flat of beer. It's fine. And I think just instilling habits in now, and instilling these habits, these practices in before it gets to a point of, oh my gosh, my body is destroyed, my body is really unhappy, I think is super important. It's super important to just do a little bit of research, make small changes in your diet. It doesn't have to be drastic. That's the thing I feel people expect is, oh wow, I see this person making their own nutritious broths and I want to do that, but I don't know how. And it is so simple. And I try to do a lot of stuff like this in our house because I do see the value in it. I do see the value of making things, buying things in bulk, because it's price-wise cheaper. And yeah, diet's just one of those weird things that I am trying to figure out on a daily basis. And I think we all just need to give each other a little bit of grace. And yeah, that's today, that's what I got to say about that. And yeah, it's something I'm very passionate about. I believe that if we all work together, we can have a healthy diet, healthy bodies. It's just hard. It's hard when you see a fucking piece of Dairy Queen ice cream cake and it's like, ooh, I know the icing tastes like shit, but you know what? I kind of like it. So, my name is Jess Marie. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's kind of, yeah. I just like to chit chat, you know, hanging out, chit chatting. One day I'm gonna feel more comfortable and just express, but right now it's so unnatural to talk on the camera. But we'll get there, it's fine. Thank you so much. Not to tell you what to do, but I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Bye.